upset. Well, that worked out great. Hello, how you guys doing? I'm myisha Hill. Different look, different day. I accidentally made a mistake when logging in, so I have to try something else. So please forgive me for the delay in speaking. Thanks for being here with me tonight. Hopefully, all goes well. And those who see the live can see the live, and those who can't see the live can watch the replay. How about that? Most of the replays live on, what do they live on? They live on YouTube. Definitely having a hard time with my communication. Great to be here today. I'm trying something new right now, and let's have a little fun with it. So today I wanted to just talk about briefly. I've been going live for 3 days. I'm tired, absolutely. It's not only about every day. I series of first. I've myself. I've been writing on Substack. I've done so many different things to show up for myself, and I really just want to tell myself that I'm proud of myself. Like, I'm really proud of myself for all the ways that I've showed up for myself in 30 days. And it's a big deal because, as many of you know, I silenced myself after that Instagram account was shut down. I kind of silenced myself. And I wanted to get into the practice of showing up for myself because if I don't show up for myself, nobody else will. And so I wanted to make this live tonight as a check-in for the week called The World Feels Heavy, so let's reclaim our humanity. Okay? The world feels heavy, so let's reclaim our humanity. If you see me looking around, I'm talking to Substack, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching this replay. So if you're like me and you're feeling disoriented, heartbroken, or just numb, you're not imagining. Like, we're living in this in real time. The world is crumbling, and here in the United States, we're witnessing our own system turn against the people again. This is not the first time that we've seen the imagination of folks that are in male birth. This is not the first time that we've seen it about people in male birth from doing what we're seeing being done right now. It's historical and it's repeating itself. But this live is not about them and it's not about the despair. It's a check-in, a breath, a moment to pause, gather, and ask ourselves, what does it look like to reclaim our humanity in a moment of loss? Again, what does it look like to reclaim our humanity in what feels like loss or collapse? What can we imagine? What can we hope for? What can we build even in the rubble? Let's be here together in that question. And for order for us to truly understand and begin to think about what we can do, we have to kind of use our imagination and think about 50 years from now, what will people be saying? 50 years from now, what will people be doing? 50 years from now, what will my children be living in? And how do I prepare for that world? And maybe you don't have children, maybe you are aunt, whatever it may be. Let's imagine the world 50 years from now. And we can imagine what that looks like. When we can tap into the imagination and the vision of the future, we can actually create the reality now. We can actually set the pavement for check privilege, where I actually said to the people that I said the people that mixing concrete. Like, they put all the ingredients in the concrete machine and they just mixed it up. And so I like to think of my generation as a generation that gets to pour the concrete to lay the foundation. Because right now, the foundation has been crumbling and the ancestors have been pulling it up. And it's not to pull it up and to throw it away, because that's something else that happens when we think about the collapse is let's just throw everything away. And it's not about throwing it away. It's about what can we take from the old, which is not a lot. So I'm speaking from the Black liberation standpoint. What can we take towards a liberated future? What can we dream about? So the world is on fire, but our grief is not a weakness. Our grief is the first step in our journey. It is acknowledging it. Your grief is proof that you have not lost your humanity. So if you're feeling sad, overwhelmed, burdened, amazing, congratulations, you're human. If you are feeling that and you've named it as grief, I want you to congratulate yourself because you are human and you chose to keep going. What you're feeling with the world on fire is real. Hi, Mary. It's important that you name the pain, that you name the fear, because when you get to name it, it's actually an act of resistance. And try not to let capitalism or supremacy tell you your grief is a distraction, because it is. For all of my family who are watching, I just heard bruise and I to the grief, be all we can do. Talked about if happy to if you are in Chicago, a couple things you can do is that they actually have body cams. And if several co-conspirators in Chicago or Portland or DC were to just buy body cams and give it to people of the global majority to wear to protect themselves and held on to the USB port, that is an radical act of action you can do to caretake Black and Indigenous folks. We are living in scary times right now, and it is grief that we must feel. It is grief that we must name so that we can imagine something different, which takes me to my second point. America is turning on its own, but we're not powerless. State violence, silence from leadership, and the scapegoating is intentional. It's all being done to dysregulate our nervous system. Everything that's happening is with intention. Because if they can dysregulate your nervous system and you get sick, let's say with like COVID, guess what? You can't resist anything because you'll have to take care of yourself. But our response is also important in this moment. We can still protect each other. You can still organize. You can still reclaim clear and dignity in small ways. Forget we have together. Together. Does that mean? Well, I would have a couple options. I just named one. We can get each other body cams. That's one thing we can do. We can prepare for economic collapse, and we can do that by buying extra food and groceries for our homes. We can go to immigration one-on-one trainings where we can learn how to be there for our neighbors or learn the things to do and say around the icy conditions that exist in the world today. Remember, I have to talk in code because the algorithms are listening, and as someone who believes in liberation, it is important that I protect myself as a woman that's still living on this land. So when you hear icy conditions, it's the weather. There are several workshops that you can take that are being facilitated around the icy conditions that you can take to know what you can do. You can also take the Know Your Rights training. Colin Kaepernick's organization still does that. You can also think about how you can use your time and to volunteer for organizations as well. So that are providing aid, these that are being targeted. You can also the storytellers. So local storytellers telling the stories on the street. So that's what we can do. We're not powerless. You probably feel that way, and I just want to say that that's normal if you feel powerless, but we're not powerless. I just want to give that reminder. And my third point is our imagination is not naive, it's survival. The only way we're going to make it out of here is if we keep dreaming and envisioning something different and working towards that. And I'm grateful because in our collective, we are doing our best to center Black liberation. and looking back in history at Black joy and Black art and Black creativity, and using that as a central starting point for us to stay in the moment, for us to stay in what's real. Dr. Nicole Rawls and others continue to remind us to keep dreaming, to keep envisioning, to keep imagining something different. Imagination is the act of creativity and joy in a collapsing empire. They say, the artists shine when there's collapse because we can show up as artists and do multiple things. One day I can be talking about a book. One day I could be talking about coaching. One day I could be talking about depression. Next, we talk about joy. It is the artist that keeps finding us our humans in these hard times. We imagine taking the map from tomorrow. Like I said at the top, if you didn't hear me, to imagine 50 years from now, what's different? And imagine it from a place of joy. If you are into sci-fi or Afrofuturism, now's the time to dream. They've stolen our imagination. They've stolen our creativity, which is why we don't have art in schools, which is why they've just taken so much because they need us to be robots. They need us to continue to be AI while they train the AI to take over our jobs and the dystopian nightmare that we're actually living in real life. Sometimes I joke around with people who know me, and I'm like, dude, I know the aliens are watching us, like talk TV, like live TV. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like somewhere, like our reality is like a TV show, and these people are like turning us on and off. Like, what is going on Earth? Like, it's almost like the show is called Earth. We are in season 249 of America, and they're probably watching us like, whoa, intense. But that's see how my imagination just easily can just turn on and just imagine something different. Like, that's imagine something to not make me think that I'm stuck in this nightmare. Your imagination, it's powerful. It can put us on your face. It's the imagination of my into existence to know there will be a generation have to feel as much because there's still epigenetics as they felt. And so the future isn't written yet, and we are the writers. And that's why I think I'm going to start just doing more art. Um, I started collaging, digitally collaging. That's fun. But not just art, but archiving. What does it look like to be archivists? What does it look like to take books like Man's Search for Meaning and Diary of Anne Frank and Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower and George Orwell's 1984? There are so many things we can do right now. When I say become an archivist, what does it look like for us to take some planners, some notebooks, hodgepodge, decorate it, make it cool, but then when we see breaking news, take a picture of it, cut it out, put it in our journals, and write about it. Like, this is what the news says, but this is what I lived through. We get to now be the living archivists of the future because they're erasing history in real time, and we can actually capture it and tell our own stories. And the way we protect that is through pictures and becoming and just we're all trying to figure it out because none of us are really prepared for what's happening with technology either. But what we can do is and we can think it is. He's full of stuff. Because the one thing I know from movies like Star Wars is while there is empire, there is always hope. And bell hooks reminds us that hopelessness breeds inactivity, and the opposite of inactivity to me is creativity. So I'm always dreaming and imagining, well, what can I do next? And what can I co-create? And what space can I hold? And what's my role? Because my role now has to change. Because in this world that we're currently living in, the things that I used to do and say are not necessarily safe for me to do and say. And as someone with two children at home under 18, I have to be very mindful of how I show up as a somatic mindfulness teacher who focuses on the liberation of all people. Yep, that's what I do. And so yes, we have to archive our stories in real time. I've been watching some tutorials. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I've been watching these tutorials on uh, Tickety Talk. TikTok is where I get creative ideas. And I've been watching how people are going to the Dollar Tree and they're getting like books from the Dollar Tree, taking off the covers, and they're like making their looks custom, they put it in like the pages, and like pages look old. But anyway, I think that'll be a good project to offer to the collective. Is like start archiving your stories. Like, could you imagine if we all like did that? That would be so fun and so real because like this is becoming a thing now, Mary. Just like the vision boards we still have to do. I could totally see us like making it a fun project and doing it over and over again and archiving our stories in real time. Don't let them just tell the stories. But when I think of the future, it's like, but besides tell your way forward, what else can I leave? I have journals. The future is going to be my journals and be like, was she crazy? That was ableist. Is she okay? Um, but it's definitely possible. I want to give you guys a little bit of encouragement for the day. I know I'm getting tired because I'm so committed to doing these lives that I'm just like, I'm just gonna keep going. 2 more days and then I'll take Wednesday off from the live, maybe. Um, you are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to turn off the news and be committed to liberation. You are allowed to rest, grieve, rage, and return to joy. You don't perfect each other. We need vision. We need all now. We can be tired, but still have each other. We can turn on the news and still be committed. We can rest, we can grieve, we can rage, and still have joy. We're humans, and we have to reclaim the parts of our humanity that's being disrupted for us. So when I think of reflection, I want you to think of this. What are you choosing to hold on to right now, even when the world feels like it's falling apart? And what small act of care or resistance can you offer this week for yourself or for the community? You know, there's a beautiful quote that says, "We're the ones we're waiting for." I didn't say that. I just can't think of who said it. But even in collapse, we can create and cultivate something new. We can plant new seeds, hopefully with recycled composted seeds. Even in the unknown, we're not alone. And even as we ache and cry, we're still human, and that's what matters. So, as we prepare to go into a new week, I just don't want us to lose our humanity. I want us to remember who we are. I want us to reimagine something different and dream ourselves into the life that we want to live. Ebony Janice says, dream yourself free. So do that. But it's going to take us rooting ourselves some this week. How do we reclaim our humanity? What does it mean? What does that look like? I believe it starts with art. I believe with do laundry. I love that. I believe it starts with art. I believe it starts with joy. I believe it starts with doing the opposite. Dream Yourself Free is by Ebony Janice. Let's make sure we cite our sources. But let's not get stuck in the doom. It's really sad and it's heartbreaking. But if we can create and dream and imagine, we can see things differently. So I want to say thank you for all for watching me live or watching the replay. Grateful for showing up for myself. Um, 28 days of daily lives. That's a lot. I got a lot of good content though. And then I've been on a no complaint challenge for 21 days. It's been 21 days of no complaining. When I complain, I just take my bracelet off, put it on the other hand, but I haven't. So this is how I've been counting. It was a 21-day no complaint challenge. You know me, I'm going to keep on keeping on because it's really interesting to not complain when the world is like this. It's really fascinating. Really fascinating. I'm doing a lot of neuroscience on myself. So let's see what we create. Let's see where we find joy. Let's see what we can imagine. Thank you, Aaron, for you too. Keep on other. Um, just know that It is going to get better. It doesn't look like it. Don't go by what you see right now in the world. Have faith in something different. The more of us that dream and create and have faith and believe and hope, man, if you need some hope, go watch a Star Wars movie. Go get to the end where you have Princess Leia talking about hope. You know, I think that was Jesse Jackson that would say, keep hope alive. That's all we got. We got each other and we got hope. So let's keep on keeping on, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's live might be a little different because I'll have to go live in the evening again. So tomorrow's live will be around the same time, 8 p.m. Pacific. And then Tuesday's live will be in the morning. And that will be my 30 days of lives. And I'm so proud of myself. You know, I spent almost 90 days silencing myself. And even with the world on fire, I can't think that's on and really married. I think I'm gonna be what I'm about to do to everything things because what else do we have? You know, maybe we need to compare this. We compare somebody's president to Jabba the Hutt. And on that note, it's time for bed. I hope you find some joy tonight. I hope you get some rest tonight. If you're doom scrolling, take this as a sign to log out. I appreciate each and every one of you and all the ways you support the work of Check Your Privilege, Heal Your Way Forward. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow evening for another late night checkout, because that's all we got. Peace and blessings to you all.